الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله ذي الملك والملكوت ذي العزة والجبروت الحمد لله ذي الفضل والكرم ذي القدرة والنعم الحمد لله حي قيوم لا ينام عزيز لا يضام قهار لا يرام وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما أما بعد يقول الباري سبحانه وتعالى بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون or you who believe, fear Allah as you should be feared and dare not accept on the state of Islam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most merciful, grant us this great gift to die on the state of Islam. Allahumma ameen ya arhamar rahimin. Amma ba'd. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran in two places, وَمَنْ يُوقَ شُحَّ نَفْسِهِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ وَمَنْ يُوقَ شُحَّ نَفْسِهِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. Whoever who protects himself or shield himself from the greed of the self, from his own self. The fact to be covetous, the fact to be stingy and greedy, whoever who protects himself from this fact, from this disease, is indeed one of the successful. Now, in this ayah, the amazing thing, that the greed or being covetous, nothing have to do with the prayer. Nothing have to do, for example, with the fast. One of the conditions of the prayer to make wudu. One of the conditions of the prayer is to face the Qibla. One of the conditions of the prayer is to cover your aura. But it's not one of the conditions to heal yourself or to remove the greed that you have. But in fact, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala making the protection of this greed, of this what subhanahu wa ta'ala called shuh. It is the action of success. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said when He complimented the Ansar, the only thing that He made them to be muflihun, قَالَ وَمَنْ يُوقَ شُحَّ نَفْسِهِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. Later on, Al-Ansar being called Al-Muflihun and Al-Muhajirun by As-Sadiqun. And this makes someone to wonder that there is something in the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not only to take the deen in the way that only the aspect of worship or the element of the worship, salat and siyam, and just put them apart and someone thinking that he's doing the way of Allah or living the way of Allah. Now someone can be fully heedless of these facts. For example, that we have the khutbah today about the shuh, and subhanallah, he's taken away all his deeds, it's burning all his deeds, what he's doing in his life as a prayer and siyam, but he didn't help him to correct himself while he was fully heedless of this fact of being shuh or shahid. And al-shuh, as is being explained by al-fuqaha and by the scholars, the shuh is like very close to al-bukhl, and al-bukhl is to be stingy for someone who holds, and the fact who doesn't want to share. But if this has something that is natural in the self that we will talk about, everyone has this fact. It is everything that you want to hold for yourself is haram. It's not that's the case. But the shuh is more dangerous and more ill than the bukhl, because the shuh is someone that he makes shahih, he will be stingy on his own self. So if he has, for example, abundance of money, he will be even stingy to spend the money on himself. So you see like the hay'a of maskara, you see him like, he looks like always worn out, like a very poor, but he has a lot of money. That's the shahih, that is the most dangerous thing. Now, in this fact, when we talk about the shuh, it's not about money. A shuh, this being for someone covetous, it's not about money. It's about everything that someone will add his pride, will add his benefit, that he has something in himself that he desires, that he doesn't want to share it. And that hoarding, and that stinginess in the self, that craveness to have it and not share it, that's what made the disease to kill the faith in the system of the person. Even though he was still praying, even though he's still making dhikr, even though he's still making siyam,
that this disease of shuh make him corrupt his way and lead him astray from the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, the most important part, how can we connect the success with the absence of the shuh? The success with the protection of the shuh, even though you are praying, even though you are fasting, and even though you are every day in the masjid. Now, if you take some example of this, you'll find a person that he has a shuh of power. Well, some people, they have a power, let's say the greed of the power lead them to be tyrant and transgressor. Shuh of knowledge. The one they want to share the knowledge, therefore they lead people astray because they hold the knowledge. And look, in every aspect of shuh, we have an abundance of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ fighting this type of behavior. You find the shuh in time, the shuh in helping, the shuh in money. And if we know only the shuh to be covetous and stingy and greedy in the money, because that's the most common thing. But the shuh is a disease in the self, that when it take over the self, it will be the leader and the guide of the person. It will be the own God. It's like when someone he submits to his own whims, then the shuh, it will be the leader, it will be the decision making of the person, the decision maker of the person. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, if you shield yourself from the shuh, you are from those who are successful. Now the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, amazingly, when you talked about the shuh, he didn't talk about the money. He said sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a hadith, اتقوا الظلمات اتقوا الظلم فإنه ظلمات يوم القيامة. Shield yourself, be careful, do not transgress, do not make dhulm, because the dhulm is going to be darkness in the day of judgment. قال واتقوا الشح واتقوا الشح, and shield yourself from this shuh that we were talking about. قال فإن الشح أهلك من قبلكم حملهم على أن سفكوا دماءهم واستحلوا محارمهم. Look, subhanAllah, the hadith, which is invite us, actually recommend us to take care of this problem in ourselves and to really invite ourselves and examine the degree of the shuh that we have. Because without knowing, we may be leading ourselves astray even though we do pray. Many people, they do not find any sweetness in the salah. It might be because of the disease of the shuh. Many people, they don't find any way, any engine or enthusiasm to do more ibadah. It might be the disease of the shuh. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala connected the protection from the shuh with success, not with the salah. Because the salah, if it's not in an environment of peaceful environment of the self, that you can present the salat with his soul, because in the presence of the shuh, in the presence of the greed, in the presence of stinginess, the salat will be only image. Now in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, he said, the people before you, they've been corrupted because of the presence of the shuh. حَمَلَهُمْ It's the shuh, he's the one who carried them to سَفَكُوا دِمَاءَهُمْ. They shed their bloods. They kill themselves. وَاسْتَحَلُّوا مَحَارِمَهُمْ. And the thing that they are haram for them, they violated. Who if the leader is a shuh. And in another hadith, خطب النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إياكم والشح فإنما هلك من كان قبلكم بالشح. What may corrupted and destroy the people of before you is this disease of the shuh, is this greed. And the greed, ikhwan, is really a problem. Because in certain time we think that we are defending ourselves. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, if you fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant you your reward. يُؤْتِكُمُ اللَّهُ أُجُورَكُمْ تُؤْمِنُوا وَتَتَّقُوا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you a reward. And you're not going to ask your money. Allah will not ask your money. إِن يَسْأَلْكُمُوهَا فَيُحْفِكُمْ تَبْخَلُوا وَيُخْرِجْ أَضْغَانَكُمْ. If Allah will gonna ask you all your money, you're going to say no. You're going to be stingy. And by being stingy, there's an ill thing inside ourselves is going to come out. So Allah is the most merciful. He doesn't want subhanahu wa ta'ala to uncover us, uncover the evil thing we have inside. Is not the Prophet ﷺ who taught us to shield ourselves and to seek refuge with Allah from the evil of ourselves? أعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا is not the saying of the Prophet ﷺ in the beginning of some of his speech. Then when someone he's doing this and thinking of this, subhanAllah, how he needs to protect the self from this shuh, because he's going to take away everything. Look, the Prophet ﷺ in the second hadith قال إنما أهلك من كان قبلكم بالشح أمرهم أن يبخلوا فبخلوا. He ordered them to be stingy, to hold, and they hold. He ordered them. وأمرهم بالقطيعة فقطعوا. And he ordered them to cut off their kinship, and they did. وأمرهم بالفجور ففجروا. And he ordered them to do ill and commit immoral thing, and they did it. أمرهم is the shuh who is making the amr. He's the one who's in order. He's the one who's the leader. He's the one who's in command. He's the one who's in the command. That's why, ikhwani, sometimes when we said, you think that you are defending yourself in what we said in the end, toward the end of Surah Muhammad. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, قال ها أنتم تدعون لتنفقوا في سبيل الله. You're going to be tested to be given the sake of Allah, not only for your money, from all what you have from skills, to share what you have in good in the da'wah of Allah, to share in the betterment of the world, to share things, to help, to act very dynamic in doing good. وَمِنْكُمْ مَنْ يَبْخَلْ. Some of you, they're going to hold, they don't want to share it. Why? Because a shuh is going to lead to something. Because a shuh, it has is mixed with the hirs, and the hirs to crave something, to desire it, and you don't want to share it. If you see it in the hand of someone else, you're going to envy him, and you don't want that he has it. And if you have it, you don't want anybody to have it. And that's mix of feeling. It will really arise in the nafs a full disease that keep, subhanallah, the iman is like suffocated to the point that you kill your own iman. Then we need to think in this perspective of a structure of iman, not of elements of iman. What the meaning of it? If you think of the iman, like you pray, you make siyam, inshallah, you're intending to go to Hajj, you're doing all this action without treating the self, without seeing the inclination of the self, where it goes. Is your heart love more the prayer or loves more the money? If the heart love to share, do you love the thing that you have, that your brother will have them also? If you do not check them things, so the ibadat is not happening. Then when we say the iman is a structure, is a combined structure with the moral, is a combined structure to check this part of the shuh. Because if you have, someone has this disease, the action, the good action cannot come to the surface. Why? Because the iman is being buried by this shuh. And the shuh is the one who's leading in this situation. He's the one who's leading. And the Prophet ﷺ قال أمرهم, he commanded them to do. أمرهم أن يبخلوا فبخلوا وأمرهم بالفجور ففجروا وأمرهم بالقطيعة فقطعوا. This is a very important subject to think of it and to check ourselves. Now someone will ask, it's not part of ourselves to have the desire to hold. Say yes, it is. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it to be embedded in us. Why? Because if we do not have this feeling, all of us will be tomorrow homeless. If we don't have this feeling, you give everything you have, because you don't have any attachment to anything. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most merciful, He set in our nafs a balance. So you want to hold to protect yourself, but never overprotect to the point that you mislead yourself to astray. So this type of hold, how can we know the balance? The balance is to submit your hawa. You swim to the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look, the Prophet said, قَالَ ثَلَاثٌ مُهْلِكَاتٌ. There are three, they destroy the self. They destroy the path of a person. They destroy all the action of the person. Three, قَالَ شُحٌ مُطَاعٌ. شُحٌ مُطَاعٌ. The stinginess, this greed, and someone is obeying it, so it will lead in him. وَهَوًا مُتَّبَعٍ. وَهَوًا مُتَّبَعٍ, and means that is followed. وَإِعْجَابُ كُلُّ ذِي رَأْيٍ بِرَأْيٍ, and everyone is happy with what he has as idea, what he has as opinion, and he doesn't want to hear to anybody else. This is the Prophet ﷺ, he said, the destroyer. Now, if we ask ourselves how to keep this desire to hold in a balanced way, we have the example of the Ansar. Look, the three qualities that Allah mentioned in Al-Ansar. وَالَّذِينَ تَبَوَّأُوا الدَّارَ وَالْإِيمَانَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ يُحِبُّونَ مَنْ هَاجَرَ إِلَيْهِمْ. The first thing, they loved the Muhajirin. It's their brothers. They love them. Therefore, they want to share. So the meaning, the expression of the love of your brother is to share. And it doesn't need to share to give him what you have and you say without nothing. No, that's the balance. But at least make dua for him to have what you have if you cannot give him what you can give. And that's the law before to share, before giving. That's what will kill the shuh. قال يحبون من هاجر إليهم ولا يجدون في صدورهم حاجة مما أوتوا, and they don't find anything in their heart from what Allah provides the Muhajirin. It's not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's been already pleased by the Muhajirin. It's not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted this great favor to be above the Ansar in all the measure. And it is in the Quran that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned. They don't envy them. Instead, they will follow them. They want to be with them. This is great people. They are the first who follow the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And if we implement this today in our life, if you see someone who has better things than you will make dua for Allah to give him more. You make dua for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give him firmness. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you the same. But not to envy him and say, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take away everything from him. That's, the greed will be the leader, and you making your prayer as a servant to your greed. How? Because someone sometimes in his prayer, he's making dua against people for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to cause for them corruption. Why? Because he doesn't like them. Did you ask yourself why you do not like these brothers? It is a founded hate or enmity, or because of the disease of the greed we have. In fact, if the greed is the leader in ourselves, your salat becomes submitted to that greed. You're asking Allah for money because you have the greed for the money. You're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to destroy people because you don't like them, because you envy them. Therefore, your salat is not for Allah. It is to nourish the greed that someone's had. The third quality that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, قال يحبون من هاجر إليهم ولا يجدون في أنفسهم حرجا مما أوتوا, and they said قال ويؤثرون على أنفسهم ولو كان بهم خصاصة. الإيثار الإخوان, it is the shortcut how to cut off the disease of the greed, to bring it to a balance. How can you prefer or advance the need of someone else who has a true need, that you can wait, you can have patience, but your brother cannot? Would you do it? One Bedouin came to the Prophet ﷺ, and it was night, and the Prophet ﷺ asked his wives, they do not have anything to give him. He said, if there's anyone who take him as a guest. One of the Ansar judges said, Ya Rasulullah, I will take him. He took him, and he entered on his wife. He said, we have a guest. He told him, we don't have anything except the food for the kids. He said, make the kids to sleep. And that, have the food with the guest. He said, but it's not enough. He said, make the way that the lantern is not working. So when they put the food, they turn off the lantern. It's like the wife is trying to turn it off, but it's not working. And he was speaking al-Ansari, and he putting his hand into the dish, but he's not eating. He making think that he's guest, that he's sharing, but the food only was for the guest. The next day when he came to the Prophet ﷺ, the Prophet ﷺ قال إن الله عجب من صنيعكم البارحة. Allah was amazed of what you did yesterday. And Allah revealed this ayah. قال ويؤثرون على أنفسهم ولو كان بهم خصاصة. And this is after this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after three qualities, said قال ومن يوق شح نفسه. And whoever who protects himself from this greed, he is really the successful. Now, Sufyan ibn Hadi, in Ghazwat al-Yarmouk, took some water and he was checking water to get his cousin, trying to find his cousin. When he came and he find his cousin, he find them, wounded in a very difficult situation, in pain. And he told them, I came here just to give you some water. And while he trying to give him some water, he heard someone in pain. He told him, give to my brother, he's in need more than me. He found him one of the companions, Sheikh ibn al-Has. And he gave him the water. When he was starting to drink, he said, he heard someone in pain. He told him, can you please run to this brother here? When he went, he found him already dead. He went back to check with Hisham radiallahu ta'ala. He found him already dead. And he found back to his cousin. He found him already dead. وَيُؤْثِرُونَ عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ. This preference, and to prefer your brother on yourself, or to advance some need, like they are really in emergency people, that's what helped the nafs to be freed. That's what helped the iman to find the space when it can live. Because when we hold the shuh and the greed, it's like you are suffocating, you are strangling the iman. The iman cannot move, cannot do anything. He's buried, he's imprisoned. But when you find this greed, you put the peace in the soul. And when you have this peace, the iman can move, can act. Your salat will help you. Your sayyam help you gain piety. And that's when someone will be successful. وَمَا يُوقَ شُحَّ نَفْسِهِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. اللهم اجعلنا من الذين يوقون أنفسهم من شح أنفسهم. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا أجمعين. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه الغفور الرحيم. بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. أما بعد. The hadith of the Prophet ﷺ narrated by Abi Hurairah, another amazing hadith will give us another perspective of understanding the shah, which, as I said, many of us, they don't even think about as a fact to complete their iman or to improve their iman or to be successful. Because people, they multiply the nawafil, they multiply maybe the siyam, but they don't care about what's going on in themselves. When what's going in themselves, it is the key for the success. Now, in this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ قال لا يجتمع غبار في سبيل الله ونار جهنم ودخان نار جهنم. It is impossible for a believer to can gather between us the dust that he collected في جوفه, in his side, when he was striving in the sake of Allah, and the smoke of hellfire. Doesn't work. ولا يجتمع شح وإيمان في قلب عبد المؤمن. And greed and belief, they cannot be together in the heart of one believer. Which is mean in this hadith that greed might void the iman, because the greed is going to be the leader, as we mentioned in the hadith. And here, if someone wants to fulfill the greatest of the covenant with Allah, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala get from ourselves, our soul and our wealth. إِنَّ اللَّهَ اشْتَرَى مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ أَنفُسَهُمْ وَأَمْوَالَهُمْ بِأَنَّ لَهُمُ الْجَنَّةَ. How can someone strive to do that? The shortcut is to kill the greed in yourself. Ali radiallahu ta'ala, when he was asked by the Prophet ﷺ to lay in his bed, when the people of Quraysh plot against him to kill him, it was the action of a big trial of the greed here to want the desire to keep the life or to give it in the sake of Allah. But amazingly, Ali radiallahu ta'ala was sound asleep when people of Quraysh came. He knew that they're going to come to kill him, thinking that he's the Prophet ﷺ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fi aliyaihi yubahi bi Ali radiallahu ta'ala. He's complimented Allah in His greatness. Ali, look at my servant. And sending angel, after the protection of Allah, sent an angel to surround him. To see, ikhwani, that someone wants to go high. The price, wallahi, it's not very difficult. But someone needs to get where the shortcut to help himself. Offer everything he can to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And one of the shortcuts is how to treat our greed and make it balanced to be fully submitted to the way of Allah. And again, وَمَنْ يُوقَ شُحَّ نَفْسِهِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. Remember it and read it in the book of Allah, and try all together to treat the shuh in ourselves, to share, to act in a very dynamic way in the way of Allah, to have the iman, the leader of our life, not our greed. وَمَنْ يُوقَ شُحَّ نَفْسِهِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. اللهم اجعلنا من المفلحين يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا أجمعين. اللهم نعوذ بك من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. اللهم تب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم، وتوفنا مسلمين إنك أنت أرحم الراحمين ويا أكرم الأكرمين. اذكروا الله يذكركم واشكروه على نعمه يزدكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. وأقيموا الصلاة يرحمكم الله.